Welcome, two-stroke lovers, to RacerXOnline.com. I am Kris Keefer. Behind me is Paris Raceway, the oldest track in Southern California. And guess what? You clicked on this because you're a two-stroke guy. You want to know about the 2022 Yamaha YZ250. Now, small refinements, again, two-stroke, but the bodywork is completely redesigned, which I think is really cool looking. The 125, which we'll test here shortly, is a lot of things are new on that bike, but I may or may not have ridden this bike already. We'll go over that here later after we ride more here today, but I want to rip down some things that Yamaha has changed with the two-stroke and give you a little feedback right now on this bike. So Yamaha went to work with the new body, like you can see right here. The air intake, rear fenders, side plates, the seat base, and the subframe have changed. Obviously, it been upgraded to a lot of four-stroke components, like the 22 YZ450, which is the front brake, rear brake, the rear sprocket, the drive chain, and of course MX33 tires. They've updated that and put those on there. New suspension, front fork components, internals and settings, and then a new setting here on the rear shock. So the thing that I like most about this bike already, just sitting on it, is the rider shape. Getting off of a YZ450F, I've had a lot of time on that bike. I kind of feel like I'm in that bike. There's like a pocket. The rider triangle is not very friendly. Just sitting on this YZ250, it's a flatter profile. I feel like I'm on top of it more. To me, I'm already happy just sitting on it right here in the pits. All right, we're going to go rip this thing up. Paris Raceway. We're going to give you some feedback. I'm a four-stroke guy, but we're going to go over some points of concern that I have gotten in emails about, hey, I'm a four-stroke guy. Why should I get a YZ250 two-stroke? We're going to talk about that, the negatives, the positives, and maybe, just maybe, turn you guys into a two-stroke lover. Be right back. Guys, we're wrapped up here, Paris, California, Paris Raceway. Fun day. Surprisingly, and I'm going to say the word surprisingly, for me, I had a lot of fun on this bike. I know I've been a hater on two-strokes in the past, but lately I've been coming around a little bit. I know some of you guys get on me about that, but this YZ250 for me is fun to ride. Actually, the first moto I went out there, I was out there for like 20 minutes. Usually you can tell right away if I'm not having a great time, I will come back in 5 to 10 minutes. And then we'll make some changes. But I was out there a long time because, frankly, I was having a great time. So, on paper, maybe not a lot of changes to the YZ250. I know a lot of you guys are like, it's the same bike, different plastic. Not completely true. Yes, the 125 coming up has more changes, but this YZ250 2022 edition does have some changes that actually make a difference on the track. So, brought my guy here, 2002 125 West Coast champion, Travis Preston. We were just talking about it's only 20 years since his championship. So we're trying to think about what Travis should do for like an anniversary special. I told him he needs to go to Loretta's, win a championship, and that way he has a championship spread apart 20 years. To me, that's a great idea. Travis, take it away. Tell the people out there the changes and why it's significant on the track.
Yes, it's going to be 20 years.
Right.
You're correct. And I think I'm going to actually race an outdoor national and actually qualify. Okay.
Stab, stab.
Yeah. Anyways, so as you can see, for 22, the bike looks a lot different. All new body. The tank is lower. The front of the seat is lower. We actually raised it in the middle of the seat. So what this does is when you're riding, it makes it really easy to get forward on the bike. The shrouds are slimmer. So yeah, the body feels really good. Suspension settings are changed. The internal settings are changed on the front fork. It's more like a 4-stroke style damping and a little bit stiffer setting overall compared to the old bike. The brakes now are changed. We have 4-stroke brakes, front and rear. And a big benefit for me on the bike is there are no motor changes to this bike, but the intake has been changed a lot. In the past, you had air coming in from 4 sides. You had a hole here, and then 2 on the back. Now for 22, we just have holes in the back, so it's more of a direct air flow, and there's less turbulence in the air box, which, just flows more air, and it gives it more power. It has more over-rev feeling. It kind of smooths the power. Sometimes the 2-stroke is a little jerky down low, and with this new intake, it kind of smooths it out a little bit. So, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
All right, to piggyback off of that, so my impression. So, full disclosure, I actually did ride this a week and a half ago already, so I have some time on it at Glen Helen as well as this track. 2 different styles of tracks. Glen Helen's fast, uphills. Paris is tighter, ruddier. For me, very fun to ride this bike here at Paris. But for me, the engine character, and I said this on my podcast, for just minimal changes and in the intake that Travis was talking about made a big difference for me on low end feel. Similar to what Travis was saying, it kind of smooths it out. It's almost, I'm not going to say 4-stroke-esque, but it does have a little bit more luggability where you can roll the throttle on and ride it a little bit like a 4-stroke, which for me helps me out because that's what I spend most of my time on. So I have more rear wheel connection. I like that. Here at Paris, we have a little bit tackier dirt, so it does have a little bit of more bite to the rear wheel, so I have to sit up on this flat seat farther in the corners to get some drive and then to be able to hook into that bike. But for me, fun to ride. There's nothing better than to rev your engine in the air before you land on than a 2-stroke. It's an unbelievable sound, and I find myself doing it a lot on this thing. I was the only guy out there at the beginning of this day, and I was like, dude, it's got to sound really cool for all these people to hear this bike. So lots of bottom end, but yet controlled. You do have to short shift. It's a 2-stroke, right? So you have to short shift, but each gear does pull clean and long. You guys, stock jetting, how much time have you guys spent on the jetting on this thing in R&D?
Dude, this is the same jetting. Yeah, it's perfect. We don't want to mess up the jetting. So yeah, but Butler did this years ago, and it's the same carb, same jetting, same engine.
Yeah, for me, it's hot today. We're at sea level, but clean jetting, even at Glen Helen, a little bit higher, still about 90 degrees, clean jetting. So there was no rich feeling, there's no popping, there's no lean pop. So I do like that a lot. The highlight, we'll get to the suspension in a minute, but the highlight for me is just the ergonomics. Look, I'm going to be real with you. I love me a YZ250F, but if there's one thing that I can complain about is ergonomically, that thing is not right. Like, the pegs are up. I feel like I'm in a pocket. For whatever reason, Travis, this thing right here feels amazing. I'm up on top of the bike. I'm not in it. I feel like I have room. I can move around. So the way you have this body style and the seat really helps a lot.
Yeah, for me, this is like how I like my women, slim and skinny.
Okay.
Yeah. So I love it. It's easy.
I can relate to that. See, now we're talking. See, now we can have this video, and for me, I'm all in. Now we're in. So
no, but for real, like, compliment this, because I feel like a lot of you media guys talk trash on the YZ, especially the 4-strokes for the rider cockpit. And I do feel like for Yamaha, this is the best rider cockpit.
So I'm going to spring this on you. Measuring the triangle, how much different, if you have, and if you haven't, you can just tell me you didn't, how much different is it compared to the 4-strokes?
Yeah, that's a good question. Compared to the 4-strokes, I do not know.
Okay. Yeah, because it just feels like I have more room. So if you're a taller guy and you're thinking about a YZ250, ergonomically, this is better than the 4-strokes for me. I'm 6 foot, Travis is 6'2", 6'3", so There's a wide range here. Suspension-wise, I am going to say there is a lot of comfort here. Glen Helen, it was really choppy. I still had to go stiffer there. I had to go stiffer here. So what we did on the fork compression, stock is 9 clicks out. I'm at 7. Is that what it said?
No, you're at 5 now. You're at 5 now.
Yeah. So I keep going in.
Clicks in, yeah.
On decel, it just feels like it's a little low. So go in, and that does help the low feeling. I'm 175 pounds. So if that helps you out. The rebound, I slowed it down just to slow the action down coming into corners. Because what I felt like when I hit the first bump, it just kind of dropped the front end a little bit and then upset the rear. Bringing that fork up a little bit in the stroke helps the balance of the bike. So for me, that is the most important. The shock feels decent. I just would like to bring that fork up a little bit. You're a bigger guy. So when you ride it, do you actually go stiffer as well?
Yeah, so actually the setting that you ended up with is the exact same setting me and Stevie have ended up with. And then, yeah, throughout us, you know, having media guys ride this bike, this does seem to be a common theme is everyone either leaves it stock for like a slower beginner rider, but then it seems if you're a little bit faster, everyone just goes a couple clicks in on compression and rebound.
Look, you're not going to beat a KYB set of suspension on a Yamaha. If there is one thing that's the highlight about Yamahas, it's how comfortable it is to ride. The YZ250 two-stroke is no exception. Still feels that way. One thing I want to ask Travis before we get out of here. I'm a 450 guy. I'm interested in going to a two-stroke. What are the advantages, or why should I think about buying a two-stroke over a four-stroke?
Yeah, that's a great question because until we did development on this bike, you know, I've been at Yamaha just strictly doing four-stroke stuff. So I hadn't ridden a 252 stroke in like 20 years. So I was amazed, especially on this bike now with that little bit smoother power character, a little bit stiffer suspension, better ride position. It's a lightweight bike that's very friendly for every rider. Because I feel like a 450, to ride a 450, you got to be in shape. You got to really have your stuff going on because a 450 can at times get away from you. Where this bike, it's just a really easy, fun bike for anyone to ride.
To keep the good analogies up, let's just paint this picture for you. See if you like this analogy by me. It's like when you meet a woman and it's you're in the newlywed stage and everything's great. Yes, let's do that. I love that. Let's do that. She's very accommodating. This is what this bike is like. The four-stroke may be the girl that you've been with 4 to 5 years, slightly accommodating, but a little bit harder to deal with because you're married and the realness comes out, right? How do you like that one?
Well, yeah, because sometimes you can get tired and then she'll start talking back to you. Yes. Where the two-stroke, she's not going to talk back to you as much.
Right. So Travis is right. For me, if you are thinking about going a two-stroke route, the reason why I don't like them is because you have to ride them hard to enjoy the experience. This bike, I didn't really have to ride it very hard. So I could lug it a little bit. I could cruise around it, still have fun. And look, you guys know I'm no BS here. So I actually enjoy riding this bike. And for me, on tighter tracks, I would love to ride this bike more because it actually helps my technique. Do you ever think about that?
For sure. Like, I think any kid coming up riding motorcycles, you need to start on a two-stroke because you have to keep it at the right RPM. You have to clutch it. You have to shift it. So technique-wise, a two-stroke is really good.
There's nothing better when you pass a guy on a four-stroke on a two-stroke too, and because he knows, he's like, oh man, I can hear, you hear this guy behind you, and they're just annoyed. So I had a couple experiences with that today, so that was fun. But overall, good job, Travis, the Yamaha crew. Excellent, fun bike to ride. Don't believe everything you see on the internet. I do not hate two-strokes, just don't prefer them, but this bike is very fun. So of course, you guys want to see more tests, more breakdowns, fun analogies. We always have those. RacerXOnline.com, and of course, RacerX publication, 12 issues, $30. Get yourself a free gift when you subscribe. So Travis, I always ask this to everybody. Do you subscribe to RacerX?
We do.
We as in Yamaha?
Yeah.
There you have it. Yamaha subscribes. You should too. See you guys on the next one.